Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chanty. In today's video, I'm gonna show you guys how I do my weekly meal prep. I just got back from the grocery store. My fridge is absolutely stocked to the brim with produce and fresh fruit. Today, I'm gonna show you how I prep my food after I got back from the grocery store. I always like to have my produce freshly washed and ready to use so that when I'm in a rush during the week, I can just throw a quick meal together. And I really find that this saves me from eating out during the week or reaching for something unhealthy. If I have all of my produce prepped and ready to eat, I can just quickly reach for something healthy. So I'm not gonna do the meal preps that you see on Instagram where everything is like in a little perfect container. I really just like to make sure all of my produce is freshly washed and then I chop it up immediately before I'm gonna eat it. I've been doing this meal prep system for about a couple months now. I used to be an avid Trader Joe's shopper, but I kind of got sick of wasting all of the plastic containers that Trader Joe's comes in. I'm sure you guys know Trader Joe's is very convenient. Everything comes in a nice little plastic package, but I started to feel very wasteful and I just thought that there was a better way to do my weekly grocery shopping. So I've been shopping at Sprouts, shopping in the bulk section. I've been bringing my own produce bags, which I got on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description box down below if you guys want to check them out because they're absolutely amazing. But anyways, this is the system I've been using to wash all my produce since I haven't been buying it in pre-made bags. I also always make sure I have some type of grain like rice or quinoa in my fridge ready to go. And I also always make sure I have beans like black beans, garbanzo beans, lentils in my fridge. And so today I'm gonna show you how I prep my food with my Instant Pot. I think that is all I have to say. Let's just jump straight into the video. I'll show you guys how I do my weekly meal prep. So the first thing I'm gonna do for my meal prep is prep my lentils and quinoa in the Instant Pot. And I like to do this first before I start working on my produce because this way it'll cook in the Instant Pot while I'm rinsing off the rest of my veggies I'm gonna prep. And I'm gonna be adding in these lentils. I'm gonna make stewed tomato and onion lentils, which is kind of like my pizza lentil recipe. So if you guys want a quick, easy lentil side dish recipe, head on over to that video. So I always rinse off my lentils before I use them. I like to rinse off any beans or grains that I make. So that was 2.5 cups or 1 pound of lentils. Next, I'm adding in 1 medium yellow onion diced. Next, I'm adding in 1 can of diced tomatoes, about a teaspoon of dried oregano, a pinch of black pepper, some red pepper flakes, 4 cups of water. You could also use veggie broth for more flavor. And honestly, I just kind of eyeball it until the lentils are covered. Next, I'm gonna pop on the lid and I'm gonna press manual for 15 minutes. And while this is cooking, I'm gonna show you guys how I start prepping some of my produce. This is a before shot of what my fridge looks like before I prep all my food. The top shelf is my roommate's, that's why I'm just focusing on the bottom 2. As you can see, all my produce is in these reusable baggies, and that's what I put them in when I buy them. But I'm gonna show you how I clean them off and put them into neat little containers. So they're really convenient and easy to use. So this is a picture of my setup. I like to use a huge bowl or a bucket in the sink, and then I use a dish drying rack to dry them off. First, I'm gonna be prepping 3 bunches of kale. And first, what I like to do when I'm washing off any greens or veggies is just fill up my big bowl here with water and give them a good soak. As you can see here, there is always so much dirt hiding on the stem of the kale, so you really have to get in there with your fingers and rub out the dirt. So I first give them a soak in the sink. I feel like this helps loosen up any dirt or bugs that might be inside of them. And it also saves water rather than having the faucet running the entire time. Once I soak them for a couple minutes, I go in with each individual leaf and make sure there's no more dirt hiding on the inside of the stem. And I just pile them all on top of my drying rack and let the water drain out from underneath. Isn't this drying rack so amazing? I just love how the water drains out from underneath. I picked it up on Amazon. If you guys need a new drying rack, I'll leave it in the description box down below. And I repeat this process with all 3 heads of kale. Once all my kale is nice and clean, I lay down a clean kitchen dish towel, and I like to rip out all the stems of my kale so it's really easy to use. So here I am just de-stemming all of my kale leaves and placing them on the clean dish towel to dry. Once I pile up all my leaves, I know this might look kind of funny, but I take the towel and I roll it up into a kale burrito and pat it down on the sides, and this helps shake off some of the water. Then I find the biggest container I have and I just pile in my kale. I like to top it off with a napkin or paper towel to help soak up some of the excess moisture. And I think 3 heads of this kale filled up 2 of these big containers. Next, I did the exact same thing with romaine lettuce. I had 3 heads of them, and I did the same 3-step process, the soak, and then the rinse, and then the drying rack. Then I did the same thing again, laid them out on a clean kitchen dish towel and rolled them up like a burrito, shake off some of that excess water. And sometimes if I don't have a container, I'll just leave them wrapped up in the kitchen towel and stick that right in my fridge. It all stays together pretty nicely. Next, I did the exact same thing with collard greens, which you guys know the drill by now. I'm just gonna speed through this quickly. And some other veggies that aren't leafy greens that I'm gonna rinse off are these radishes, which were actually like covered in dirt. It's like they literally rolled around in dirt before they put it in the grocery store. And I just really love these as a quick snack, so I like to keep these rinsed and ready to eat. They are so crisp and yummy with some hummus. And here I am rolling up the collard greens in the towel, and they fit perfectly inside the same Ziploc container. I also prepped this broccoli, which I used to buy the bags of cut broccoli from Trader Joe's, which I do not do anymore. So I just rinsed them myself and cut them up into little pieces that are really easy and convenient to use. This is me just showing you guys how easy it is to wash these reusable bags. You can just give them a hose down in the sink and then squeeze out the excess water. And yeah, they're just really easy to clean and use. Another thing I used to buy in packaging, which I don't anymore, is cabbage. I love to have cabbage on top of my salads, so I just pre-shred some and stick it in a Tupperware in my fridge. And I only chop about half of it up and I stored the rest of it whole in my fridge. Some things that I do not like to wash ahead of time are strawberries, these mini peppers, I just keep them in the bag until I'm ready to eat them, and cucumbers. I find these 3 foods go slimy if you rinse them too far in advance, so I wash them right before I'm gonna eat them. And this is what my produce looks like, all neat and clean and in its little containers. It just is so aesthetically pleasing to look at. I love when everything is nice and neat and organized. Alright, so my lentils just finished up right in time. So now I bought all these glass containers for hot food that I cook. I really prefer to put any hot food in glass because I don't like to put hot food in plastic containers. It just really freaks me out. Alright, so I just rinsed out the Instant Pot lining, and next I'm gonna show you guys how I make my quinoa. Most of the time I just make brown rice, but today I'm feeling like switching it up a little bit. So here I have like tri-colored quinoa, and I got this in the bulk section at Sprouts. I'm gonna pop this right in the Instant Pot. And next I'm gonna add water. To be honest, as I said before, I don't really measure anymore when I use the Instant Pot. I just kind of eyeball it. I just make sure that it's covered by at least like a ½ inch of water. And I'm not even gonna do anything to this quinoa. I like to leave it plain so I can add it to my salads just plain. I'm gonna do 10 minutes manual pressure and then do a natural release. And I'll see you guys when it's finished. While my quinoa is cooking, I decided to whip up a salad dressing. I stopped buying store-bought salad dressings when I went vegan, and now I make my own. For this recipe, I'm using 1 cup of raw sunflower seeds as the base. Next, I'm adding in about a teaspoon of onion powder. Next, I'm adding in about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. I love garlic. Next, I'm adding in a few squirts of Bragg's liquid aminos, maybe like a tablespoon. Next, I'm adding in some green onions, half of a lemon peeled, and a handful of basil. To make it extra creamy, I use about a ½ cup of oat milk and about another cup of water. I added in a splash of apple cider vinegar for extra tanginess. Blended it up in my Vitamix, and I like to keep it in this perfect little This is an old juice container and it works great for dressing. I'll also just use any jar with a lid on it. If you have old kombucha bottles, those also would work great for this. Alright, so my quinoa just finished up. I did a 19-minute natural release. I'm just gonna pop it into these glass containers just like the lentils. And what I love about using the Instant Pot for meal prep is that you can just have this going while you're doing other errands or cleaning up the house. But obviously if you don't have an Instant Pot, you can make all these recipes on the stovetop. You'll just have to pay a little closer attention. Quinoa looks perfect. I think I made way too much. Also, whatever you don't use, you can always just keep in your freezer, and then you can also just de-thaw in your Instant Pot for whenever you want to eat it again. And there we go. Here's all of my quinoa that I made. I might end up sticking one of these in the freezer if I can't get to finishing this, because this is way more quinoa than I expected. And this is the beautiful after shot of my fridge after I finished my food prep. I just feel like when my fridge is nice and organized and neat like this, I'm more likely to stick to my healthy diet, and it really just helps me see all the veggies that I have, which also prevents food from going bad, because you can actually see what you have in your fridge. Well, there you guys go. That is how I like to prep some of my food for the week. I don't do this exact routine every week. I do like to switch it up. This is just a little example of something simple I like to do. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel by hitting that red subscribe button down below. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.